Life and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. Welcome to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And on the program this morning, we are going to be talking to Boys to Men. It's a program that is transforming the lives of young men across our islands. And what they do, well, they turn boys into gentlemen. And I love this idea. I think it's a great one. I'm super happy. I was happy to have known about the Boys to Men program some years back. So it's nice to know it's still going on. It's needed. I definitely think it's needed. And joining us in studio this morning, we have director Simon Miller, founder Christopher Murray, and joining us by phone, I don't know if he's on the phone yet, will be director Seaford Russell. All right, Seaford's on the phone with us as well. So good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to The Buzz. How are you all doing?
Kathy. Thank you for having us.
No problem. How are you doing today? We good? They put their headphones on. I need to turn the amp up. All right. So we're going to be talking about Boys to Men, and the origin story is what I want to get. I just want to get your origin story. We'll worry about the headphones later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sure. No problem at all. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Kathy, and good morning to your listeners out there. So the origin of Boys to Men, I normally like to say that I believe the seeds were sown when I was working at Northwood Prison. I was working at Northwood Prison in 2005. I started working there. And as a matter of fact, I volunteered there to teach and counsel. And I was specifically placed at the juvenile and young offenders section, where quite a number of young men were coming in. And I found that I started to develop really meaningful relationships with the young men. And it so happened that while I was volunteering, about 2 or 3 of the young men went to the director then and told the director if they could keep this gentleman. And I got the job because of their recommendation. And
sorry, Mr. Murray, what was your role? Like, you said you were working at Northwood? Or?
Yes, so I was one of the counselors / teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, and so at the time I was volunteering, and they left and asked the director if they could keep me. And it so happened that over time the relationships that were forged were just meaningful. You know, I found that the young men, they were pouring out to me. I saw the fear, I saw the regrets, I saw a number of things. And the pipeline, as I normally put it, was so strong from the middle school, high school. We're just coming in one or the other. And after a while, I felt as if I'd be way more effective in the schools rather than working at the prison. Mm-hmm. So I made application for middle school at the time, Georgix, and I got through. While there, the idea came. My favorite R&B group prior was Boys to Men, right?
BBD. Yeah. Which is what I sang before the show started, yes.
And I don't know if it's unfortunate, but neither of the 3 directors can sing. Did I say that, right? But so I was sitting in my office. I can see it even now, and I believed 100% was an inspiration from the Lord, Mm-hmm. And name it, Boys to Men. And then after a while, we had the tag name, Turning Boys into Gentlemen. And so we started the program there. I started out actually 3 boys, namely one of your participants this morning, Mr. Russell, and it just evolved into something beautiful. Looking at it from then to now, I'm amazed, and to the extent that I know it's not our doing in and of ourselves. It had to be the blessings of the Lord on it. So we started to provide this avenue for individuals to explore and be exposed to certain other things that they might not have been. And it's just have been quite effective thereafter.
Okay, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good origin story right there.
Yes,
I like that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
The mission, the core mission behind the program.
So the core mission for me is to help boys become disciplined and to become intrinsically motivated, to become so inspired about knowing that they matter, that they belong, and that we need them to become the best version of themselves. To become the best versions of themselves. I have had so many experiences with different young men who you'd be surprised to know that they're struggling with their self-esteem, they're struggling with personal issues, So we aim to provide that platform, to provide that avenue for young men to explore and to become the best version of themselves, not to be stuck in a rut thinking that their present situation defines who they are, but they're able to see the other side. So yeah.
Okay, I like this. Susan coming to help us out.
Yes,
with
yes,
the
yes.
headphones amps
Thanks.
a little bit. That's what it was. All right. Ooh,
Yeah.
we got some major feedback.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's
Thanks for
okay.
listening
Thank
there.
you.
We all got that feedback as well right there. Okay. A program like this. Don't put the headphones close to the mic because it'll give feedback. Yeah. All right. Now, a program like this, why do you see it being essential for Cayman, for young men in Cayman?
Unfortunately, and this is not limited to the Cayman Islands alone, but one of the things I've been seeing is that there's a very high percentage of young men who don't have a father figure in their lives.
Yeah.
And, absentee fathers, etc. For varied other reasons. You find that there are families who will move into the Cayman Islands and part of the family is left elsewhere. And so I can't tell you how many experiences or sessions I've had where young men are breaking down crying and they're telling me that they wish they had a father figure in their life, somebody that could guide them like a tour guide. One particular young man said to me in a session some time ago, he said, my father buys the shoes, he buys the clothes, he buys this, he buys that. And on one particular occasion, the young man took the clothes, took the stuff and placed them outside, threw them outside. Father got upset and he said to me in the session, Mr. Murray, I was trying to let my father understand that I don't need the things as much as I need him in terms of his presence, etc. And so we have discovered that the need for it is optimal because there are a number of young men who they'll resist authority, to be honest with you, but if you're able to connect with them, on a particular level, you'll be surprised to see how much they'll open up and they want to be directed, they want help. And I find that potential that's not directed properly can become so easily misled. So throughout the years, this is our 15th year, and I've seen the older boys who have passed through the program pointing the younger boys that the program to be a part of is Boys to Men. So that said something to me that they're finding it valuable. They're finding something in it that they can link with, they can associate with. They're boys who are grown men, have their families, and they're calling me, messaging me, sir, whatever you need me to do to give back to the program, I'm willing to do so. So I think there's a need that's being met, and the more we continue, the more effective we're aiming to become in this area.
You said so many interesting things right there, especially when you have so much potential and you're not using it correctly, just how that can lead you down a very maybe dark path or just bad path for you in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, untapped potential, especially when you yourself know you have it, but nobody else wants to believe in you.
Yeah.
It could just be detrimental.
And that heightens frustration.
Yes.
Because, I can talk so many stories, to be honest with you. Recently, another young man saying to me that he's frustrated. He knows he's not giving of his best, but he's trapped by so many other issues that are coming into his life. And people say that, he's young. What kind of problems would he have? But you'd be surprised. We can't take it for granted.
No.
It's a travesty for me for us to allow a young person to charter the way of life without having a tour guide.
Yeah.
Without having somebody pointing them, saying, keep on going. This is the direction. And there's so many young people that are traveling this pathway on their own. And it's not that they are not willing to accept it. And I think sometimes us as parents and adults, we have a tendency of correcting without connecting. And I think that's a problem. We have to connect before we correct. Find that link. The cliche that we normally use in Boys to Men is an iron fist in a velvet glove. And so the velvet glove provides that soft touch to let them know we're not going to be judging you and loving you at the same time. We want to connect with you. And once that is established, I have boys who are coming to my house, right? Boys who are trying to find my phone number. I have 2 sons, and their friends are coming because they'd like to, so this is Mr. Murray, and so forth. And it's nothing, I'm not self-agonizing or praising self, no, but I remember where I'm coming from. And if you're able to find someone that you can connect with, that will positively lead you along the right way, man, it's a tremendous thing.
Well, I will absolutely praise you. And I absolutely think you should pop your collar and be very proud of the fact that people can come to you, that you have your son's friends wanting to come to you. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Because, as you said, a lot of people don't have that. It could be a parent figure. And what I've seen in families over, just growing up, I see the breakdown of a family structure.
Yes.
And I detest hearing from even women. I don't need to have a father in their life. I'm just going to have a kid. This is the thing to do is having children quite young, not being in a committed relationship or a marriage. And it's like, we don't really need the husband or whatever, or the man or the father, the way that they talk down on him. And maybe it's very well deserved, maybe perhaps that, but what is that planting a seed in the child?
Yeah.
Like, what are the words that you're using that is planting the seed and then causing somebody's thoughts to form? I think that's a really hard thing for me to see, is a breakdown of a family and what people are trying to make it almost trendy just to have a kid. Like it's an accessory almost.
Yeah, it's a sad thing,
it's terribly sad.
Richard Reeves, who wrote the book Men and Boys, he made a statement that one of the problems in our society is that many of our men are being viewed as the problem and not having problems.
Right.
And so if a man feels that he's the problem, he's going to want to seek somewhere that is celebrating him, seeing him in a particular perspective. And hence, maybe the bars and varied other places other than being at home are being in the place that he's supposed to be. And I'm not giving excuse, because there are definitely persons who need to make proper choices. But there are so many other disadvantages that are out there. And just to profile, Mother's Day versus Father's Day, there's a disparity there. And so when men feel less, they're going to seek to find a place that they're feeling like they're much more appreciated. Yeah. And so with that toxic thought of masculinity, it's affecting, there's a huge domino effect. I've had sessions where young people saying, my mother is turning me against my father, and I don't like it because he's my father. And I'm saying, you're right, you're so right. And I know Daddy might have made some poor choices, but at the end of the day, he's still your father. And to honor him is still important in your heart, not to become disrespectful. So there's a societal tendency that needs to stop,
Yeah. Simon, do you want to tap in?
Samara touched on so many wonderful things. In the space, in the program, when you have boys saying to you, Kathy, this is the first place I feel that I can be heard, and I didn't know men could talk like this. Those are the sort of things that the program does for our young people here in this country.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great program. Yeah. It's needed. I'm glad we have it. I just wish it grows and grows and grows and grows. That's what I wish for the Boys to Men program. Not in the sense of I want there to be people who need more people that need the help, but the people that need the help to know to go to you. That's what I mean in the sense of growing, because I feel like there's probably a lot of young men and boys out there that aren't aware, and that if they know that you're there, tap in and get the resources and the help. We got to take a quick commercial break right now. We have to bring Seaford into the conversation. I know he's on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about the Boys to Men program, where they are turning boys into gentlemen. And in studio with me, I have director Simon Miller, founder Christopher Murray, and on the phone we have Seaford Russell, who's also a director. Good morning, Seaford. How are you doing?
Morning, Kathy. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. We did not forget about you. It was just some really good convo in the very beginning of the conversation so far. So I'm roping you in now. And as Mr. Murray said, you were part of the first cohort of young men that joined Boys to Men. Can you tell me about when you first even understood or heard about the program and what made you go into it and what it did for you?
Well, back then it wasn't as structured as it is today. It was really just, I don't even think it had a name when I was a part of it. This was probably like 15 years ago. So I just think it was three boys that Sir Murray wanted to have under his guidance, and he took three boys and he made us sort of his priority in school. But I don't really think it had a name back then. It was just sort of like a group of boys that he had under himself. And like he said, it was three of us. And so it was necessary for me, like all these kids that we have in the program. It was necessary for me back then because, I needed guidance. I couldn't see it then, but I have seen how much it has helped me throughout the years, having somebody there to guide me and show me a different path in life. It goes a long way, and it is because of people taking their time out of their schedules to give back, and even a little way. It goes a long way. It goes a real, real long way with some of these kids. And we're here speaking about Boys to Men. I know we are, but the reality is Boys to Men is just a small little piece of the puzzle. I think that this needs to be a community effort when we speak about trying to fix our young men. On young women for that matter, you know what I mean? This isn't just our young men aren't necessarily the only one struggling in Cayman, and but it takes a community effort, and I know that sounds like a broken record. It's a very cliche thing to say, but the truth is the community hasn't really stepped up in a way that we hope they would over the last couple of years. I know a lot of people turn a blind eye to kids that look out of place or look raggedy, as a lot of older people would say, and sometimes those kids just need somebody to speak to, and unfortunately we don't necessarily give that to them. But if we do, trust me, it goes a long, long way.
What did the program do for you?
Well, like I said, I think I needed at the time a lot of guidance. I don't really want to get too much into my story,
okay.
But
do you think
if
you did not join the program, your life would look different right now?
I think that if I didn't meet Sir Murray, my life would be different. He's one of those people that came into my life that were crucial mentors for me. It's him. I always say that I had two fathers growing up. Not my biological father. It was Sir Murray and a man by the name of Paul Borden. Those two people has influenced my life in so many ways, and I aspire to be a lot like them. Sir Murray is one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. And, Paul Borden, if you know Seaford, you know that I love country and I like, farming and stuff like that. Paul Borden was the man that introduced me to that. And so he heavily influenced my life. And then, today I have my father-in-law who, I say that my heart just warms because he is everything that I wish I had for a father. I love that man to death. And, when I get around him as an older person who is now a father also, I realize how crucial it is to have a father in your life, because it always feels like, man, I wish I had my father-in-law in my life a lot sooner. That's how it feels for me. But because of people like, Paul and Sir Murray who guided me, I have no doubt in my mind that if those two men didn't come into my life, I'd probably be someone that one or two people visit at Northward Prison, or I'd be in a box, because that was the trajectory that I was on. And I don't say that loosely, you know what I mean? I really don't, but I really mean that. The environment that I was raised around, that's the trajectory that I was on. And if I didn't make it to those two places, I would probably be a bum on the road, and that's the God's honest truth.
That's a good testimonial that you shared with us right there. And I know you said you don't want to go into your story so much. Well, now I'm very curious, so I might connect with you at another time to see about that. But thank you for sharing what you did share so far. And you've come back to give back to Boys to Men. You're now one of the directors with the program. Mm-hmm. What do you do in your role with that?
Yeah, I think it's crucial to look back at the same kids that are in the same situation and help. And it goes a long way, because sometimes these young boys, they don't necessarily want to see the man in the suit and tie in front of them speaking who does not understand what they have been through. And so it's crucial to have people that understand where they are coming from. It's easier for them to level with those kind of people. And I think my role is just simply to let these kids know that I know where you are and I know where you could be. You just have to take the guidance from us three gentlemen. Sir Miller has been dealing with these kind of young men for a very, very long time as well. So yes. I think that our team, we always say that we're like brothers. We were, and I think, I don't know who it was, but I think it might have been the minister, the education minister, Mr. Ralston Anglin, that said that, we have put together a really good team here, because we just understand what we're doing with these young men. And for me, it's not even, like I said, it's not just about Boys to Men. This is a personal thing for me. If I could leave my current, and I know this is not a popular thing to say right now on radio, but if I could leave my current job right now as a sports broadcaster to help the young men in our community full time, that is what I would do, because personally for me, this means the world to see people who are in the gutter in Cayman achieve greatness. And it's so hard for kids to start from the bottom and get to the top. It's so difficult. And the only way that they can get there is with helping hands like, Boys to Men in the community, and
other programs that are similar to this.
Other programs as well.
I'm with you on that. You said a lot of great things here. Thank you for sharing that with us so far. And we only got a couple minutes left, so I want to tap into how the program works, the structure of the program, if you gentlemen could share that with me. Yeah. Simon or Mr. Murray?
All right, so how the program works, we are presently situated at John Gray High School, Clifton Hunter High School, Hope Academy, and we did a launch on the BRAC as well. In particular with John Gray, we are only focused on the year 11 because of the shortening of our time and resources. At Clifton Hunter, we're a little bit more spread out from about year 9 going up to year 11, which is, the ideal thing. And at Hope Academy, it's also stretched across. So the program also facilitates a number of experiences for the boys. We're big and strong on exposure, as we believe that exposure shapes expectation, and expectation shapes behavior and aspiration. So we'll have a number of things in the program. For example, the Ritz-Carlton. We are going next week, all being well, to the Ritz-Carlton to have a time of social etiquette training for the boys. Every year we do this, and you'll be surprised that some things that we take for granted, many of our young men, they don't know. Right? They'll go to a particular setting and the plate, the knife, the fork, the spoon, how they're arranged, they're not sure how to handle themselves. And so that has been an annual thing that we do. And coming from that...
Many people don't know that, actually. Many people don't know that. I taught an adult how to which forks to use at a gala the other week.
So true. And, as I say that, I recall a young man saying that many persons are telling him to change, but nobody's telling him how.
Yeah.
And so we believe in exposing them, let them understand, see what it looks like and feels like, let them taste some sense of victory or success. So from the social etiquette training, we then have what's called a fine dining night with their mothers, where they're being led to treat the true first lady of their lives with this decor and proper chivalry, etc. They'll be required to pull the chairs with their mothers, give their mothers red roses, and give a sentimental comment. Apart from that, we have a number of other things that we aim at doing. For example, about 2 years ago, we brought 107 boys to Cayman Brack for them to go over there and just immerse themselves in the community, do community services and a number of other activities. We try to have ongoing presentations with the young men. For example, Mr. Miller will come in and share his wealth of knowledge from the perspective of the National Drug Council, and a number of men will come and share mentorship presentations. So one of the things we like doing, of course, has to do with the community projects. There are several individuals who are, they'll point out and say to us that I have an elderly lady living in my community and she needs some help. And so we'll go there, we'll paint it, we'll clean the yard, etc. And the boys love doing it. Then we have also the fishing extravaganza, that's what we call it. And the boys would do almost anything to be a part of. So we'll take maybe the last trip we had, how many, Samila?
Close to 200.
Yeah. Quite a number of boys we brought there. And on the trip, I think how the prizes go, arranged by the
first fish, biggest fish, most fish catch.
Yeah. So they'll get prizes. Who catches the first fish gets like $100. Whosoever catches the biggest fish, $200. Whosoever catches the most fish, $300. And they just love the competition, right? They enjoy it. We're trying our best to tie it in with behavior and expectations. That guys, if you're behaving X, Y, Z, you're going to be getting these opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm already having persons coming right now to be a part of the next cohort, because the present cohort, they're going on to college, university, etc. So that's basically the fundamental aspects.
I have a minute. So what I would love for you guys to be able to answer in this minute is, I know, Simon, you barely said anything. I feel bad for you.
That's okay.
Is
I'll step back.
what resources do you need to grow this? Because I understand you just said you do have a lack of it, and I think this is such a crucial program to have. And I don't mean to knock other charities that get funding, which is great, they need it, but we also need to grow our people here, which are our greatest asset. So what kind of resources do you need, and how can people join the program if they'd like to mentor or find out more?
Well, we want to thank all of our donors over the years. We have some committed people who have helped us along the way and keeps the program where it is. It's our goal and our dream to grow it, make it nationwide, that every young man comes through the pipeline of this program. That is our hope. You can reach your number and email. I mean, if you...
Yeah, sure. And of course, we'd love to immerse ourselves fully into this in terms of working with at-risk young men of the community. I think we have garnered a lot of experience, and we have heart for it as well. So to reach out to us, our number 345-329-0021. For persons who would like to become a mentor, we have just a basic requirement that they have to have their safeguarding training in place, police record, and then we'd like to do some presentations with them. Now, this is just for some internal aspects of some young men that we are aware that we can't cover all.
Right.
So by having perhaps somebody being assigned to a young man just to help track him through, that's one of our desires. And when we're going on our fishing trips, etc., just to have some additional hands on board. We have Mr. Conway King at Clifton Hunter. He's doing a tremendous job there. Mr. Howell at Hope Academy. And so we tag team with all the men there and try to make it as effective as we possibly can. So if you can't reach us, you can reach one of those gentlemen as well.
Okay. We didn't really touch on the resources there. I know you guys need the help.
And thank you so very much. When it comes to financial resources, we can't do almost anything that we have on the table without finances. So when persons are contributing financially, they might not understand how far-reaching that goes, because to get the boats, we have about 3-4 boats out there. We have to pay for all the boats, pay for all the baits, pay for everything. The fine dining, we have to pay for it as well. The trip to Cayman Brac, Feed Our Future, that was in operation some time ago. They assisted us last time by paying for all the plane fares, and that was life-changing. That was just, I can't even tell you.
But that's a huge charity right there, and they assisted you.
They assisted us to do that.
So, I mean, we have way too many corporations and businesses here that, in my opinion, should step up for this. It's a call for that. I got to end it. We got to go to the 8 a.m. news. Sorry, guys. Way too short of a conversation. Sure. We have barely touched the surface of this. Thank you so much for joining me on the Buzz this morning.
Thank you for having us,
and for Seaford on the phone as well. Thank you. I got to go to the 8 a.m. news.
Thanks so much, Kathy. Thank you.
No problem. And you're doing a great job as a sports broadcaster with the Compass, okay? We do need more role models like that, and especially from younger Caymanians as you started off. So you're in a great position. You can do both, I believe. We got to go. No problem. We got to go to the 8 a.m. news, and then after that, I will be with the Department of Labor and Pensions.
For today's biggest news,
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller.
And I thank all members and the parliamentary staff for a productive sitting.
Wednesday's sitting of Parliament was a productive one, with ministers tabling several reports and fielding multiple questions from opposition MPs. Lawmakers also debated 6 bills before suspending standing orders and passing all with third readings.
The Airports Authority Amendment and Validation Bill, the Auditor's Oversight Amendment, Validation and Repeal Bill, the Airports Authority Amendment Bill, Health Practice Amendment Bill, the Parliament Management Amendment Bill, the Proceeds of Crime Amendment Bill has been read a third time and is passed.
Proceedings resume today at 11 a.m., so make sure to pop over to our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, to hear the proceedings live. Now, one of those bills members backed on Wednesday will wind down and eventually repeal the Auditor's Oversight Authority, with Premier the Honourable Andre Ebanks arguing the body's mandate has narrowed over time and is no longer justifying a standalone agency.
This bill reflects the government's commitment to maintain a modern, proportionate, and internationally aligned regulatory framework, one that supports market confidence, fosters innovation, and ensures the efficient use of public resources.
Opposition members supported the measure, with debate describing it as a cleanup exercise to fix governance gaps and formally close an authority that had little remaining work after regulated entities left the local exchange. The Premier added that the actual repeal of the Auditor's Oversight Authority Act won't happen immediately, as it's designed to allow for an orderly wind down of the authority first. Lawmakers also spent significant time on the Airports Authority Amendment Bill, which will give approved airport officers power to stop vehicles, carry out non-intrusive visual inspections in designated security zones, and move to physical searches when there are, quote, reasonable grounds. Infrastructure Minister the Honourable Jay Ebanks says the changes follow recommendations tied to international aviation oversight.
This bill is not about turning our airport into a fortress. It is not about treating our people as suspects or making visitors feel unwelcome. It's about making sure that the relaxed professionalism, the environment we are proud of, can be sustained legally, securely, and in full compliance with international standards. We are not changing the experience. We are protecting it.
Even with broad support, opposition and independent members raised concerns about how far those powers should go, especially when it comes to warrantless arrests. who can be designated as an appointed officer, and what training standards will apply. Deputy Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Kenneth Bryan.
This is a significant legal power in the policing world, Mr. Speaker. In our common law tradition, an arrest without warrant is the highest level of enforcement action. While it is a necessary tool for the airports of security to do their job, because the power is being extended to, and I quote again, approved officers, which under Schedule 4, Item 5, can include any person designated in writing.
Mr. Bryan said it's critical for anyone given that power to be held to the highest standard of accountability. A separate Airports Authority Amendment and Validation Bill also moved ahead, with government saying it closes a legal gap around fees for air navigation services that have long been provided to commercial and private aircraft. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Kersley Fuller.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. Oil prices have fallen back slightly after reaching their highest level for 4 years. Brent crude rose to $126 a barrel earlier on Thursday. Prices spiked after reports that the US was considering new strikes on Iran. Israel's Navy has intercepted a flotilla of more than 50 boats carrying aid to Gaza in international waters off the coast of Crete. The Israeli Foreign Ministry says about 170 activists were arrested. The flotilla organisers denounced the move as piracy. The Lebanese Health Ministry says at least 9 people have been killed in the south of the country by Israeli strikes. Israel had issued evacuation warnings for 8 Lebanese towns. A blockade around the Malian capital is tightening. A jihadist group, Jinim, has closed several routes into Bamako. Coordinated attacks by jihadists and separatists at the weekend dealt a major blow to Mali's military government. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Attention all farmers, importers, exporters, and valued customers. The Department of Agriculture made an important upgrade to better serve you. Effective immediately, their main reception will be accepting card payments only for key services such as rabies vaccinations, import and export permits, farmers' ID cards, animal adoptions, and processing. No cash payments will be accepted for these services at reception. This change will provide a more efficient service for everyone. So, remember to bring your debit or credit card when visiting the Department of Agriculture. For more information, call 947-3090.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
A pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 83%. The barometric pressure is 29.89 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 78 degrees. Synopsis indicate a weak ridge of high pressure remains over the northern Caribbean, and the chance for a few localized showers remain low due to limited moisture. Radar imagery showed no significant clouds or showers around the Cayman area at this time. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for fair to partly cloudy skies with a low chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s with a heat index near 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots and seas smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tonight, fair with a low chance of showers and temperatures dipping to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Today's high tide will be in about 6 minutes at 8:16, with a low tide this afternoon at 2:44 and a high tide again tonight at 9:35. The sun will set this evening at 6:46 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:58. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Saturday. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
I was undercover and had just recovered the stolen artwork, but...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with managing my insurance?
Well, long story long. I found the art thief in France, but ended up becoming somewhat of a local celebrity. So I had to stick around for a while. But I was able to handle all my insurance needs with CG's online portal.
The online portal. Safe, convenient, simple. CG Britgay. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britgay, where people come first.
It's time to race for glory. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac proudly present the 48th George Anderson Memorial Sprint Meet, Saturday, May 2nd, starting at 9 a.m. at the Cayman Brac Sports Complex. Whether you're a primary school athlete, a high school sprinter, or part of a relay team, this event is for you. Mark your calendars, bring your game face, and race to win. The George Anderson Memorial Sprint Meet, Saturday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. Brought to you by the Lions Club of Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning, let's check in with traffic, see what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east, the usual traffic, heavy traffic on further down on Shamrock Road, and as you approach the Linford Pearson Highway, expect some delays as you head on down to here. And coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is steady and continuing on to Huldah Avenue. And traffic is steady coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way as well. And turning our attention to Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, flowing at a moderate pace in both directions. And on the West Bay Road, there's steady traffic heading towards the Georgetown area in front of the Ritz and heading towards the West Bay area. Traffic is moving at a moderate pace. Owen Roberts Drive, no issues there as traffic is light to moderate. And slow-moving traffic on Crew Road and heading east on Crew Road. Traffic is moving on pretty good. If you've seen accidents or incidents, let us know by calling us at 949-6990. North Sound Road, steady but flowing. Industrial Park area, traffic is at a moderate pace. And coming off of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, traffic is steady but flowing. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
Start your year off right with Subway's Fresh Fit menu. 4 protein-packed subs with 20 grams or more protein, under 500 calories, and loaded with full servings of crisp veggies on hearty multi-grain bread. Try the grilled chicken and avocado, the ham and turkey stacker, the seasoned steak and avocado, or the turkey and ranch delight. Big flavor, plenty of protein, and fresh veggies in every bite. Fuel your day the Fresh Fit way. Only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
CUC's 60th anniversary is coming up, and it's time for a recharge. Mark your calendar for May 1st and join the countdown at empoweringcayman.com.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And on this segment, we are diving into a topic that affects every employer and every employee and every business operating in our islands, and that is pensions. Pensions is something that I did not start paying attention to until maybe my late 30s. I am one of those people that was like, I don't really know what this is about. I'm just blindly going ahead with what my employer's doing, not really paying that much attention, and I've paid a little bit more, but I need to pay a whole lot more. I can say that for sure. Pensions are extremely important in our life. So specifically this morning, we're going to be talking about employer responsibilities under the National Pensions Act. And joining me in studio is Deputy Director of the Department of Labour and Pensions, Miss Amy Wollaston, and Senior Labour and Pensions Inspector, Miss Julie Ann Walters. They're here to break down what employers must know and comply with when it comes to pensions. So good morning, ladies, and welcome to The Buzz.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
It's good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
And I think, Julie, I said this is your first time coming on Radio Cayman, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so welcome. It's going to be a great experience.
Yes, thank you.
At least promising that. So, so a little bit of background and context. Yes. If you could tell us a little bit about your role at the Department of Labour and Pensions and what a typical day looks like for you. And Amy, we'll start with you.
Sure. Deputy Director of Pensions. So I managed our pensions unit. And just to be clear for the listening public, the Department of Labor and Pensions deals with the private sector pension plans and private sector employers. So not government employees. That's covered under the Public Service Pensions Board. That's one of the confusing things most people have. Lots of people call our office thinking we deal with government's plan, and we don't.
It was still in my head that you deal with government. I was about to ask you some personal questions there, but I always need the reminder.
No. We do not. I don't deal with my own pension plan because, of course, as a government employee, that would be my pension plan. Right. So I don't have anything. We don't have anything to do with that pension plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your typical day, what does that look like?
A typical day, well, it's quite diverse because our department deals with private sector plans and private sector employers. There's a lot that goes on. Anything from, dealing with pension plans that want amendments to, people asking general questions about the legislation to employers who, haven't been compliant, unfortunately. So it's quite diverse.
Okay, I used to work for one that wasn't compliant. So it's very important what you do.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. Absolutely.
All right, Julie, tell us about your role and what a typical day looks like for you.
Okay, so I'm a Senior Labor and Pension Inspector. My role typically includes investigating breaches of the National Pension Act. That includes conducting investigations inclusive of case files for complaints that we receive from employees. Those can progress to court, but we do the investigations. We transfer them to the DPP, who decides whether charges should be laid or not, and if so, then the matter progresses to court. So I attend court as well if that comes up at a certain point. We also do telephone inquiries. We do email inquiries as well, and we do walk-ins. So persons might walk in, whether employees or employers. If they have a question, then I'll answer. If they have a concern, then we'll address that. If they want to make a complaint, then we would go forward and collect further information. And then if that does progress to an investigation, then we follow through. I also do compliance checks. So we work closely with the pension plan administrators for information that they might request in order to enroll an employer. So they might write to us asking us to confirm whether this employer has any employees that are eligible for pension, and we would respond whether, positive or negative responses on those. And overall, we do support the PPAs and other agencies, and we work closely with them as well.
Okay, PPAs are pension plan administrators.
Pension plan administrators,
All right.
yes.
New acronym for me.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, that's our internal one.
No, it's all good. I was quick to figure that out. I'm not always quick to figure it out in the morning, but I got that one today. Now, you said something, Julie, that was interesting to me. That's not interesting, but I'm curious. Is it just employees that might make a complaint, or have you ever had the experience that maybe a different employer is saying, hey, I know what my competitor is doing over there that's wrong. Have you ever had that occurrence?
We've had employers come in and they've asked questions. They might have issues or concerns with, an investigation, but we do support both employees and employers.
persons might think that we might lean towards the employees and supporting them, but we do support employees as well. We provide information because some employees are not familiar with the act and what their responsibilities are. So if an employer comes in, of course we offer information, we provide guidance, and if they might have an issue with a pension plan administrator, we might step in and assist them as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. Now, why is the National Pensions Act such a critical piece of legislation for Cayman's workforce?
Well, going back to the basics. So a pension plan exists. The purpose of a pension plan is to ensure that you have income replacement in retirement. So basically, we're all members of the working population, and we have a salary, and that's how we pay our expenses now. Well, there comes a point where you won't be able to work anymore. That might be different for each person, but there will come a point when you won't be able to work. And the purpose of a pension plan is so you have income for whatever bills you have at that time. That's the basic purpose of a pension plan. So as a result of that, that's why the legislation is critical, because it now establishes a mandatory pension plan for every eligible employee. A mandatory pension plan must be established by the employer, and contributions must be paid in monthly. So that's a critical responsibility of every employer in the Cayman Islands.
Okay, I was about to ask what the core responsibility
That is the core responsibility to provide a pension plan and to make those contributions. Those are, if there's anything in the legislation an employer must do, that is absolutely the top one.
Okay, excellent. So from your perspective,
yes,
where are employers still getting it wrong? What are the biggest misunderstandings you're seeing?
Some of them, I think one of the biggest misunderstandings is about eligibility. So when it comes to a Caymanian is eligible immediately. The day they start working, they are eligible.
Okay.
Regardless of any probationary period, regardless if they're full-time or part-time, they are eligible immediately.
Okay.
The same is also true for a permanent resident as well. However, a work permit holder is treated differently under the legislation. So under the legislation, a work permit holder is not required to be enrolled for the first 9 months working in the Cayman Islands. And I'm going to reiterate that, the first 9 months working in the Cayman Islands. I reiterate it because one of the biggest misconceptions is employers tend to think that 9 months is relevant every time the person moves employer. Mm-hmm. So if they're here for a year, employer A for a year, the 9 months has passed, they became pensionable with that employer. When they change and move over to employer B, that 9 months is no longer relevant. The person is now pensionable immediately. Okay. So that is probably one of the biggest, I think, misconceptions that people have about pensions, and is when a person becomes eligible.
Now, this might be a controversial question, Amy, but do you think it's just a misunderstanding that these employers have, or that many of them just know better and are just trying to get away with what they can
Honestly,
have?
I think it's a mixture.
Okay.
There are,
I
think generally, I mean, we must realize that, first of all, Cayman has a lot of small businesses. Yeah. We also have micro businesses. And, it's relatively easy to get a trade and business license. So you have a lot of people who are starting out businesses and don't necessarily understand what all of their responsibilities are.
Yes.
So I think this is one area where we can do some work. As a matter of fact, we're actually going to be working with the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development. We just had a meeting with them about doing a workshop with them, a lunch and learn with them, for the exact same reason.
Excellent.
Right? So we've had a meeting up to yesterday. And so this is an area we recognize. But yes, there are also employers who, unfortunately, know better, but don't do better.
Okay.
Right? Which is why I'm sure lots of people are aware Minister Miles has been quite vocal about making sure that government departments work together in terms of enforcement. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why, because those bad actors need to be dealt with. And at the same time, let me also acknowledge that that's only some of the employers. There are employers who go above and beyond the legislation. There are employers that will pay the full 10% and the employee doesn't have to pay anything.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, they exist. There are employers who will say, okay, well, if you pay, I'll pay 7, so you only have to pay 3. And their employers to say, if you're willing to pay extra contributions, because the law allows for extra contributions, I'll even match your extra. So you pay $5 as an employee, I pay $5 as an employer. But if you want to contribute extra, you want to add another 1%, I'll add another 1%. So then as a result of that, you go from, instead of having 10% paid because of those additional contributions and the employer matching them, you're getting 12. So there are employers out there that absolutely do the right thing. So I in no way want to not give them credit for what they do, because they should be acknowledged.
Excellent. Well, I love that idea. I didn't know you could do that as well.
Yeah, you can.
So I knew you could do extra contributions.
Yeah.
I haven't as yet. But, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it still.
Lots of people have not. Lots of people have not. And just to be clear, the employer is not required to match any additional contributions.
Right.
It is entirely the employer's choice. But there are employers that do.
Okay.
And that's admirable.
Yeah, it is admirable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's investing in your people once again, which I love.
Exactly.
What about the case of an employee has switched to, a new job now and they are pensionable?
Mm-hmm.
What if they don't like the pension plan offered by the new employer? Are they able to stick with their old one, or do you know how that works?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So under the legislation, the employer is obligated to have one plan. One. So the way the plan is selected is, in the early days, let's say the employer may select it himself because he's a one-man show, right? He's a single, what is that called? A sole proprietor. That's the word I'm looking for. Right. But as he adds employees, they get the opportunity to vote on what plan they would like to be in. So the employees can go to the employer and say, well, I know we currently have pension plan X, but we would like to look at some other ones. Very simple. Contact the 7 multi-employer plans on Ireland. They're all listed on our website as well. And say, we're considering changing pension plans. We'd like you to do a presentation. They will come to your office and do a presentation. And then you take an actual vote. And then whichever the majority decides is the pension plan.
Okay.
Right. So it's not difficult at all.
And it kind of gives a little bit of power to the employees.
Correct.
Per se.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the employer's obligation ends once he makes the payment. On time, of course. Mm-hmm. After that, everything is the employee, because some people may be familiar with the word vesting, which means when the money in the pension plan belongs to you. That's a simplistic explanation of vesting. Okay. So in the Cayman Islands, we have immediate vesting. What that means is the money doesn't go into your account, and then let's say you don't work. There's a set period of time which you have to work before it becomes yours. Other jurisdictions have that type of structure. Cayman does not. Once the money goes into the pension plan, it is your money.
Wait, I didn't really? So you can withdraw from your pension?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay.
It's your money, as in it can't go back to the employer.
Okay.
Right. But it's not that you get to take it out whenever you feel like. It's not your bank account. Remember, it's your pension.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Yes. Completely different.
Yes.
Completely different.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes. So it's important for people to understand these things, because it's critical.
Okay. But
Yes.
I want to ask, does that work for the public sector as well? Or that's just private? Where it's 100% your money right away. It's your pension. Yeah. It won't go back to the employer.
No, it doesn't go back to the employer. Okay. We have 100% vesting in Cayman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Not immediate vesting is the correct word. Immediate vesting in Cayman.
Okay. Well, I don't even know vesting as a term per se. So again, teaching me something new, which I appreciate. So thank you.
That's why I'm here.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
As mentioned, I definitely represent some of the people who have not paid attention to their pensions and might not know a lot of the terms and all the rest. And, I'm going to break it down for them too, because if I don't know, some people might not know. And that's what we're here for. We're also going to take some calls. We're going to take a quick commercial break right now. If you have a call strictly about pensions and more specifically about employer pensions, their responsibilities, you can give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text us at 925-3261. But we're going to take a quick commercial break right now, and then we're going to go into those core employer responsibilities, try to get into those a little bit more after the break.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise
at Cayman Insurance Center. Call today.
Boy, I'm so glad I got that funding from the Ministry of Tourism's Visitors Experience Development Grant Program. It has really helped me create an awesome new tourism offering. Wondering if you could do the same? You're in luck. Applications for the VEDG program are now open. Visit www.ourcayman.ky/VEDGP for more information and to apply.
Radio Cayman News.
The hits keep coming at the pump with another massive spike this week.
We can ensure that what is added locally is fair.
Announced a 3-phase plan to tackle soaring energy costs.
Government has put together an approximately $9 million relief package.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
7 days a week. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about employer responsibilities under the National Pensions Act. In studio, I have Deputy Director of the Department of Labour and Pensions, Miss Amy Wollaston, and Senior Labour and Pensions Inspector, Miss Julianne Walters. And we are talking about what employers must know and comply with when it comes to pensions. So, going into the employer responsibilities, I know, Amy, that you touched on the very, very core things, which were make sure you contribute by the due date, which is the 15th of every month. And now I forget what the other core responsibility was.
Providing the pension plan.
Providing the pension plan. So to any new business owner that might be listening this morning, what are the non-negotiables under the Act that they have to get right from day one, that they should be getting right from day one?
Well, the first one is to have the plan. That's number one. Number two is to understand eligibility and who is eligible as an employee, and to ensure they are enrolled, recognizing what I explained in terms of eligibility, Caymanians immediately, permanent residents immediately, work permit holders after the first 9 months on the island. I say it slow on purpose so people don't forget that part.
Listen, I have some listeners that would love you speaking as slow as possible. I'm sure they're going to message now, be like, Kathy, thank you. Thank you to your guests.
Well, I must confess, sometimes I do speak quite quickly. So if you need me to slow down, just let me know. Okay?
Will do.
All right. I'm not always conscious of it. Okay. And then another key responsibility for an employer is to maintain records. So under the legislation, an employer is required to keep records for 5 years. Records would include, for example, the employment dates of all pensionable employees, copies of payroll slips, all deductions taken from employees' earnings, all contributions paid by the employer into the pension plan, including the date upon which that payment was made. So when you make a contribution into a pension plan, you have to fill out a contribution sheet. Very straightforward. It is, this is the name of my business. This is the period I'm paying for. Here's the list of the employees. This is how much is paying for each person. So you want to keep a record of that because it does fulfill a number of things I've already listed, right? You keep a record of that. And you keep a record of the confirmation of the payment going to the pension plan administrator, whether you're transferring electronically, you have I don't know if anybody does it by check anymore, but maybe. However you're doing it, you just keep a record that you've actually made your payment. That's your evidence. Why that's particularly important is a section of our department is the inspections unit. And they actually physically go out into businesses and inspect them. And this is one of the things they're looking for. They want to examine your records. And so this is a requirement.
And this is where Julie comes in, because you're one of the inspectors, yes.
Yes.
All right. Can you elaborate on what Amy was just saying? So with those record keepings, are you seeing a lot of employers lacking or just missing some information, like even basic stuff that they could just easily make their business run better?
Okay. Well, that's specifically done by our inspections unit. We're in the pension section. So our inspections unit is the ones that will actually go out and conduct these inspections and review the records. Yeah, so I don't do that.
Okay.
Yes.
In my role currently. Yeah,
it's
done by other inspectors.
But the key takeaway from my explanation is that it's a critical requirement of the legislation that those records exist. And when the inspection unit goes out, sometimes they find that employers don't have records, which is actually a breach under the legislation. But it's important that these things are maintained, not only for our purposes of doing an inspection, but employers don't seem to realize it also protects them. Because if someone makes a claim that contributions were not paid, you have your evidence. Right. Contributions were paid. If someone makes a claim, well, they were eligible, well, you have information about, well, hold on, when you came to my business, this was the circumstances at the time. You weren't eligible to my knowledge. So it's important that the employer maintains the records also for themselves, because that is their, if you want to call it, audit trail to show this is what I did at the time you were with me.
Right.
So that's critical.
I'm all about records.
They're very important.
Let's not have a meeting with just words. I would like everything put out in writing.
You notice that saying, if it isn't in black and white, it didn't happen, right? So it's the same principle. It's the same principle.
Okay, there's a question that did come in via WhatsApp, and we do have a question by a caller as well. I'm going to go through the WhatsApp question first.
Of course.
It says, "Morning, Kathy. I think a lot of people don't understand that pensions are for retirement.
Yes.
Can your guests please explain what happens to non-Caymanian pensions when they leave Cayman? Do their pensions get transferred to their pension funds in their home country?" Which is a great question, and I did have it down on my timeline, but, ladies, go ahead.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of options here. When a person leaves the island, first of all, there is no requirement for them to transfer. That's number one. There's an option, but it's not a requirement.
Oh, I thought there was.
It's not a requirement.
Okay.
No. So if, for example, the individual's preference is to leave the funds in the pension plan in the Cayman Islands, they can do so. There's nothing that says they can't.
Is that risky at all?
Well, the point is to ensure that the administrator has your current information, your contact information.
Okay.
So this is actually one of the things we talk about from an employee responsibility.
Okay.
Right? Because this is not employer related at all. But I'm happy to take the question.
Okay, gotcha.
So from an employee perspective, that you are now leaving your employer. So one, you want to make sure your pension plan administrator has your current contact information. If that means you're leaving, you changed your cell phone number because you left from one employer and moved to another employer, even locally, then update the information. If you change your email address, update the information. If you have a physical mailing address, update the information. That way, if there is an issue with your plan, the administrator can contact you about it. It might be something simple as I tried to physically mail your statement and it came back, or I tried to email you your statement and it came back. So I don't have any contact information anymore. What you previously gave me is no longer valid. So I can't send you something that you as a member of the plan are entitled to receive.
Right.
So it's critical as a member, you keep your information up to date, right?
Okay.
So going back to the question now. So when a person no longer works in the Cayman Islands, they can still leave their funds here, as I said earlier. There's no reason they cannot. If they want to transfer to their home jurisdiction, the legislation allows for transfers, but it requires the person to be off island for 2 years first.
Oh.
So it is not an immediate transfer. You must be off island for 2 years before you actually become eligible for the transfer. And when considering the transfer, we look for, we review the documentation that the member provides, because they have to provide us with an application and information about what type of product they want to transfer to. So, for example, you may want to transfer to your bank account. That's not going to work. We're not going to approve that. We're looking for some information that would indicate what you're transferring to is a retirement product, right? You may not call it the same thing as we call it in the Cayman Islands, but it must have similar kinds of controls. For example, you can't access until you're 55. We're not going to consent to a transfer where you can access, 6 months later. So when transfers are being considered, that's a critical component.
That's a huge component.
Absolutely.
That's something very interesting to think about.
Absolutely.
Let us go to the caller as well and take their question.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Good morning, Kathy and Ms. Wollaston and other guests.
Oh, yes, we need the headphones. Sorry.
Sorry.
I forgot to tell my guests to put their headphones on. They're just putting their headphones on, so they didn't hear you say good morning to them, but the caller did say good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Yes, morning. Excuse me. I do videos online, and so I did a video on pension recently. Part of my question was going to be what she just spoke about. I also wanted to have it publicly noted by you guys, the distinction between being able to have access to your pension in a smaller amount of up to $5,000, as I understand it, compared to a huger bulk that you have transferred to another pension plan. So if you could touch on that. In addition, I'll see. One moment, sorry. I did intend to reach out to Ms. Wollaston because one of the things that I have had a lot of questions about is that persons are not getting the information from their pension administrators, as I believe, based on what the feedback is, they're not given the correct information as much as they could receive, and they're not being made to understand the information in a level to their understanding. And I say that because, as Ms. Wollaston probably knows, I know she would know, is that a majority of persons who are here, say for instance, on work permits, are non-English speaker first language persons, and also persons who, may come from a certain economic background and may not be as versed educational-wise and so forth as, would standardly be. And so, so my feedback and the questions that I receive, and I can tell you I have, especially on TikTok, there are almost like 50-something inbox questions, and then that's not to do with the comments and questions on the actual post. And so one of the problems is that people are really not understanding, and also when they go off island, the ability to get in contact with the department, and by that I mean even with if there was an 800 number, people overseas would not be able to necessarily call that. A large percentage of these people do not have access to calling facilities. Many are just using WhatsApp, and they really have credit and that sort of thing. So I was also wondering if perhaps the department could implement some sort of WhatsApp number and advertise that, so persons will know they have access to that also. And like I said, many. All right,
that's a lot of questions for us. So can we slow it down here
I think
and allow them to answer, please?
Well, let me understand where I'm going with all this, so I'm sure she'll throw some things out there. But thank you very much for taking my call.
No problem. Thank you. And you told me about the 5,000 thing that I don't know about, that I'm curious to learn now as well. So I appreciate the information coming from you as well.
Oh, okay. I took notes as she spoke.
Excellent. Yes,
however,
it was a lot.
I will not say I caught everything. So if I missed anything, please feel free to chime in and let me know. Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm actually going to start at the end. she spoke about communicating with the department. So we have a general email address, which anybody can send any query to, okay? Whether you are on island, off island, an employee, an employer, anybody in the general public, it's open, right? So the email address is dlp@gov.ky, Department of Labor and Pensions @gov.ky. That's our general email box. To be clear, it's checked by myself and the Deputy Director of Labor for Labor Matters. So even if someone is concerned that they're sending something and they don't necessarily want everybody to know, it is checked by management. Okay. So there is a level of security there, right? Let me also add, it's not exactly on point, but since I'm discussing communication, let me also throw this part in. We also have a confidential hotline, 954-3073.
945.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I said that wrong, As I said to her, I said, that's not the number.
945.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all good. I don't know it.
945-3073. I got it right. All right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And that is also checked by a member of management. So in that way, if you have a question and you don't want to send it in writing, but you want to communicate it orally, then a member of management also checks that. So you can send in tips, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
There. Obviously, we won't know who it is, so we can't call you back. But if it's something you want us to look into, that's also available. So I'll start with that one. She mentioned perhaps introducing WhatsApp. I can take that back and see if that's something we can explore, because we do have various social media outlets. So maybe we could also introduce a WhatsApp number as well. So I'll take that back.
Okay, I think that's a great suggestion by that caller, because if I'm thinking correctly, she was maybe insinuating for people who are coming from, like, let's say the Philippines, for example, and they have to call 1-800, and it's just the cost it is for them to be on hold or waiting to get through whatever it might be. Whereas going over Wi-Fi is a free option.
Right, exactly.
We all like that.
Yeah, of course. I'll tell you, I use WhatsApp to call as well. So,
yes.
Hello, everybody. So she mentioned the $5,000. So under the legislation, there's a provision that allows a pension plan administrator to, I'll call it, refund an account if the account value is less than $5,000. So it's not that everybody can get $5,000 from their account. It is the account's value must be below $5,000 in order for the administrator to consider the refund.
Okay.
There is a significant distinction there.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And the rules that govern that are entirely up to the pension plan. So this is not, the rules are not governed by the National Pensions Act. The Act establishes the provision for the refund to occur, but it is the pension plan itself that determines whether or not a refund is permissible. Most of them will require the person to be off island for a period of time, let's say 3 months. So maybe your work permit finishes and you're going home. You will more than likely will not get a refund. You're not going to walk in and get a refund tomorrow. This is not a bank account. This is a pension plan. So after you're off island for a period of time, as I said, 3 to 6 months, then you would be eligible to apply if it was under $5,000. Right?
Okay.
So that's how that works.
Okay, that clears that up for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And then she was speaking about getting information from the pension plan and not getting correct information, perhaps not.
And it not being presented to them in a way that they understand.
Right, exactly. What I would say to that is, first of all, every pension plan is required by legislation to have an annual general meeting. This is one of the things that is a member's right to attend, right? So everybody who is a member, regardless if your employer was previously under the plan or you have now retired under that pension plan, once you have money in that pension plan, you are a member, right? And as a member, you have a right to attend an annual general meeting. So this is a good opportunity to raise any questions that you may have about the plan. It's a good opportunity to communicate directly with the trustees of the plan, because at the end of the day, I'm getting a little technical and I'm trying not to get technical. At the end of the day, each pension plan has an entity that is responsible for its operation, legally responsible. That is most of the times a board of trustees or a trust company, one or the other, most of the time. Right. Those people are legally responsible for the plan. You get the opportunity as a member, those people will be present. If you have an issue with the plan, this is the opportunity to go and say, I have an issue, right? So you have that opportunity. Of course, they all have offices. You can go into the offices and speak to someone as well.
Yes.
So if you, as a member, feel that you're not getting what you need from your pension plan, first directly approach them about it. And if you still feel you are not getting what you need, then bring it to the attention of the DLP. That's part of the reason I made sure to share the email address, dlp@gov.ky. As I said, I check that myself. I quite often answer emails myself. So if there's any issues in that regard, please feel free to bring it to our attention. That's part of our responsibilities as a regulator, which is why I made a point of saying earlier that we regulate not just employers, but also pension plans. And if the pension plan is not fulfilling its obligation, then we want to know.
Okay, excellent. I think you hit pretty much all the points that she had brought up. We got to go to a commercial break. I'm a little late here with the break, so let's go to that, and we're going to come back. We are still taking calls and questions, so bring them on.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos. Oh, Lordy.
Janelle? From spring break 08?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Britke. Good like that.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.com. or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a second location in Governor's Square. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
We're back here on The Buzz, and we're getting some questions. So I'm appreciating it. I'm liking the fact that we have the community calling in. They have some questions, concerns to deal with, and I'm just here to facilitate the conversation because I'm learning a lot here myself with pensions. And one of the questions that did come in as well was, good morning, please, is a specialist caregiver having to pay pensions?
So under the legislation, it makes provision for what's considered as household domestics that are not required to contribute pension. However, a caregiver or a specialist caregiver is not included in that category. So the caregiver is required to, the employer would contribute 5%, and they're also required to deduct 5% from the caregiver's salary and contribute that into a pension plan.
Okay.
Right? So a specialist caregiver has a different definition from a caregiver in law, because I think they're required to stay a bit longer. Given certain provisions, they can stay a bit longer than a general caregiver. So whereas a general caregiver have a 9-month period and then they would have to go on rollover, a specialist caregiver.
A 9 year period.
9 years, sorry. Yeah, a specialist caregiver might go beyond those 9 years.
Right. A specialist caregiver is a term under the immigration legislation, I believe. And it's specific to, as Julie said, it's termed a specialist caregiver in order to facilitate the rollover policy and to indicate this person is now, I believe, exempt under the rollover policy. So it's called the specialist caregiver. In considering whether or not pension would be paid, we need to look at what is the core person's duties, right? And so, for example, and as I mentioned to you, sorry, I'll say that after. So, for example, Julie mentioned household domestic. Here are a list of terms that you maybe think are covered under household domestic, but are not. So, for example, a babysitter is not a household domestic. A caregiver is not. A nanny is not.
Oh.
No. A personal assistant is not.
Why did you say no so hard?
No, because this is another term. You remember you were asking me earlier about things that employers misunderstand?
Yeah.
This is one of them as well.
Okay,
I think eligibility is bigger, but yes, this is
Yeah.
definitely one of them.
Okay.
So, for example, a nurse, for example, is not considered a household domestic. Okay? So, a household domestic, for our purposes, is a gardener or like a domestic helper, a domestic helper,
Okay.
or a gardener. Those would be considered household domestics under the Pensions Act. Everyone else is pensionable.
Okay.
Yes.
And that gardener would have to work with a specific employer, so only within that household. So he's
Yes.
not allowed to go to other places and
Right.
do jobs. He has to remain within that household and only work with that employer.
Right, exactly. So it household, so it must be specific to that household, and the work permit is for the individual in relation to that household.
Okay.
So just arbitrary, no, nothing meant. Reliable, for example, has might be considered domestic helpers because they also come in and clean people's houses, etc. But they are a business. Their staff move from one entity to another entity, That's not a household domestic. A household domestic is specific to a personal home, and that is where they work all of the time. And they work directly for the person who owns the house.
Okay. All right.
Right. So it's very different.
It is, and
Yeah.
different categories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I appreciate the question because it was
Exactly.
a specialized question.
Another
Per se.
misunderstood area for sure.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was also going to say we recently issued a guidance note on this subject.
Okay.
Right? And it can be found on our website, which is gov.ky/DLP.
Okay.
/DLP.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So it's already posted.
Okay, wonderful. So
Under
that'll-
the I think it's under the guidance notes section.
Okay. All right. So to our listener who sent in that question, you can go to the gov.ky/DLP and look under the guidance notes. And there is what did you call it? A guidance note, sorry,
Right.
for
Yes.
the specialist caregivers that will.
On the interpretation of the term household domestic. That's, yeah. And
Okay.
there's a whole list of what is in it, what categories of positions are and are not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Now, we mentioned that contributions have to be paid by the 15th of each month, right? The
Mhm.
employer must pay contributions by then. What happens if they miss?
I'll let you take that one.
Okay. So, excuse me. So, you'll be aware that persons have different pay periods. So, persons might pay weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So, we have that provision the 15th of the following month to accommodate persons who their pay period might end on the 30th or the 31st. So it wouldn't be practical for them to pay, for example, by the 1st of the next month. So they're given until the 15th of the following month, right? If they do not pay their contributions by that time, there is a provision for them to hold the contributions in what's called help me, Miss Amy.
Trust.
A trust, right. So they can hold the contributions in a trust. However, if that period extends and they do not pay over the contributions to the pension plan, they may be liable to pay interest on the contributions. And that interest is the same interest that you'd pay on your mortgage or on a loan from a bank. So that can accumulate over time. So it's in the best interest of employers to pay on time to avoid interest being added to their contributions, right? So if you have a small business and you're not generating much profits, you don't want that to accumulate, and you don't want to accrue interest over time. And the longer you take to pay, then the more interest will be added, because that interest is added daily, right? So it's
daily.
best, yes.
Okay.
So it's best that you pay before the cutoff period, and that will assist you greatly.
Okay.
So let me also add, so it's the 15th of the month, but it's the 15th of the following month,
yeah.
right? So January contributions are due on the 15th of February. February contributions on the 15th of March. So as Julie said, employers can pay their staff at various intervals, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. But the pension contributions are always due on the 15th of the following month.
Okay. We're going to go to the 9 a.m. headline news now. I have a couple more questions that came in via WhatsApp, so I'm going to check that out over the news segment.
No problem.
We're going to continue our discussion on pensions and the employer responsibilities, specifically as it comes to pensions. We'll be back after the 9 a.m. headline news.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The long-standing celebration of Caymanian culture, Junior Badabanu, continues this weekend, and it will showcase the creativity and talent of local students. Bring the whole family out on Saturday from 3 on Cardinal Avenue for a day filled with color, music, and celebration. In international news, the suspect in the Golders Green stabbings was referred to the government's counter-extremism prevent program in 2020. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister was heckled as he arrived at the scene of the stabbing in northwest London. 2 Jewish men, a 34-year-old and a 76-year-old, were attacked on Wednesday. Police are treating it as a terrorist incident. The 45-year-old suspect is a British national who came to the UK as a child from Somalia. And oil prices have jumped to their highest since 2022 after a report that the U.S. military is set to brief U.S. President Donald Trump on new plans for potential action in the Iran war. U.S. Central Command has prepared a plan for a wave of, quote, short and powerful strikes on Iran to try to break the deadlock in negotiations with Tehran. The BBC has contacted the U.S. Central Command and the White House for comment. Brent crude rose by almost 7% to more than $126 a barrel at one point, the highest since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
At HSA, we strive to provide the highest standard of care with compassion, integrity, and dedication. And so we say thank you, Cayman, for continuing to make us the most awarded organization on island by voting us the best of Cayman Islands in 9 medical categories. Your support reminds us why we do what we do, to serve the Cayman community with kindness and excellence. To find out more about our award-winning services, visit hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Not me not paying attention that the the show was coming back on, but luckily my ears are still working at my almost mid-age life right now, where I need to be paying attention to my pension plan and what's going on there. So I'm glad we're discussing it, because I'm definitely learning a lot this morning in this segment, and very thankful to my guest this morning, which in studio I have the Deputy Director of Department and Labor From the Department of Labor and Pensions, we have Ms. Amy Williston and the Senior Labor and Pensions Inspector, Julie Ann Walters. Now, another question that has come through from one of our listeners. They say, I note that there appears to be only 2 options for most private pension funds in Cayman with regard to how funds can be accessed upon retirement. That being either an annuity or RSA, which neither gives the option to have any sort of lump sum option with lower monthly/yearly payments. Is there any chance this will change? And on top of that, for my own clarification, what is an RSA?
That was where I was going to start.
Oh,
actually.
wonderful.
Yes.
See, she's reading my mind.
Yes. Well, because we do tend to use acronyms and then people don't understand the acronym. So I'm trying to catch myself when I use them, but it's kind of habit.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, an RSA stands for Retirement Savings Arrangement. What it is in simplistic terms is your money stays in the pension plan and the pension plan then pays you out at retirement. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
In contrast, for those who may not know, an annuity is managed by an insurance company. So rather than the money staying in your pension plan, the money is transferred to an insurance company. And the insurance company then will be the entity that pays you out. So if there is an annuity, then there's a contract that governs that annuity. And that contract, when you initially establish it, will say, okay, you're paying in, excuse my simplistic terms, you're paying in $100. So for $100, here is what I can give you. And they will lay out a schedule for the next 20 years, how much money you would get if you paid them, in my example, $100. I'm trying to be simplistic on purpose. And then you would know when you sign that, this is how much money I'm going to get every year over that period of time.
Okay.
Right? So that's the difference between the two. In relation to the person's question, currently there's no provisions for a lump sum payment directly. I think a legislative change would be required in order for that to be introduced. However, let me take the opportunity to highlight that in case persons are not aware, if you have additional voluntary contributions, what we call AVCs, additional voluntary contributions are the contributions that either you as an employee or your employer have paid into the plan over the mandatory 10%, over the mandatory amount you're supposed to pay on, which is $87,000. So if you have any contributions over and above that, that would be considered an additional voluntary contribution. At retirement, you are eligible to receive all of them as a lump sum. So there are people who have a significant amount of additional voluntary contributions. And as I said, they withdraw all of it at retirement. There's no cap on how much it can be. So you could have 10,000, you could have 100,000, you could have 150,000. Whatever you have at retirement, you receive as a lump sum. So that's the opportunity to get the lump sum that already exists in legislation.
So what that has very much taught me was perhaps I should be doing some additional
voluntary
contributions. Thank you. Some ACVs. I'm going to use the acronym now that I know
AVCs.
It's easier to say.
AVCs.
So, I hear that as perhaps I should consider doing some AVCs because come retirement and I want to get my money right away because I can understand it can be frustrating.
Yes.
You want, it's my money.
Yes.
I save for it and all the rest. I paid into this.
Exactly.
But I also understand not wanting to give a person in retirement all of that right away because what if you blow it, and we're looking about people's longevity, people being able to sustain and live their lives for as long as their health will allow.
Exactly.
Much, right?
Exactly. Remember what I said at the beginning. The purpose of pensions is income replacement in retirement. So
yes,
it's not ideal to consider giving everybody their full account value at one time and, then having the person decide, oh, well, I'm going to decide whether I'm going to buy a new car or I'm going to go do this or, there's...
Gamble it all away, a world trip.
There is some rationale as to why it is paid out over time.
And, if you fall into that kind of hole, then you're going to try to rely on a lot more government assistance to get you through. And we don't want to become a welfare nation, per se, in that kind of state. So
exactly.
Okay, so that's a really good tip, I think, for people to know to to do some ABCs. All right,
Since
noted.
we're talking about ABCs, I'll add this part in. Wasn't intending to cover, but I'll add this part in. So the legislation already allows persons to access their additional voluntary contributions even before retirement, right? So if you have any at retirement, you get a full payout of whatever you have. However, if you make them and you find you need them for, the law currently has multiple provisions that allow you to access them even before retirement. So you can access them for if you have medical expenses that are not covered by your insurance company, then you can access them to assist in those with those medical expenses. If you need them to assist with purchasing property, you can access them for that purpose. Let me take the opportunity to distinguish here, because some people may be aware there is a provision under the legislation already for Caymanians to withdraw for property.
Yes.
That already exists,
Yeah.
right? So that provision is restricted to Caymanians, whereas the additional voluntary provisions are open for everyone.
Oh.
So,
Amy, where were you 20 years ago in my life? Where were you 20 years ago?
So I bring that up because as I said, we're talking about the ABCs and what's available. So if you're not Caymanian, you can't take advantage of the first one, as I mentioned, but you can take advantage of ABCs for housing. Those you can do, because that section of the act is not restricted.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I would have loved to have known that a long time ago. So thank you. Another great
you're
piece of
welcome.
information right here.
You're
I
welcome.
feel like I'm learning the most.
You're welcome.
And somebody did message and say, does this apply to government pensions? We're not talking about government pensions.
No, we are not
only
talking about government pensions
private
at all.
sector.
I
Yeah.
made a point of saying that at the beginning for just this reason.
Yeah,
Yes.
private sector only. So another
Correct.
question, if you were paying pension and you stopped because of work changes, can you pay it all for yourself? I'm not really sure I understand.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, we don't understand the question. If you have the ability to call in, please do call us. We do take WhatsApp calls, 925-3261, because this was a question that came in, a text question via WhatsApp. So Okay, and we got another question. I just tuned in, so I'm not sure of the current topic, or if the panel could speak on the recent case where an employee won at the labor tribunal against, I don't know if I can say the company, after the company failed to pay a severance following an employee's retirement.
Okay, so let me just say, I'm the Deputy Director of Pensions. I do not deal with labor matters.
Okay.
So I cannot speak to that.
Okay, wonderful.
If they have a question, they could direct it to the box I mentioned, dlp@gov.ky, and I'm sure the Deputy Director of Labor would be happy to respond to them as appropriate.
Wonderful, will do. And we have to be careful in approaching the question.
Yes.
And what information for me to say on air.
Right.
I understand it might have been a public matter already, but as Amy just explained, I mean, I don't know the nuances here, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. You know?
Exactly.
I keep joking about how they haven't censored me as yet. So,
and you don't want to be censored, I assume, right?
No, not me.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be censored either. I'm aware of the decision, but it's not my area, so it's not appropriate for me to touch.
Exactly. All right. So let's go back to the record keeping.
Okay.
So is there a requirement to notify the pension plan administrators about new hires and terminations? When should an employer do that?
Yes, so absolutely. So it's best that it's done as soon as possible. So once you have a new employee, and of course you give them their statement of working conditions and have them sign and you have all of that, then you would have them complete the enrollment form for pensions and take that to your pension plan as soon as possible to get them enrolled, right? And then you would keep record of that, as well as of all the contributions that are being made towards that person's pension plan. You want to keep that on file in the event that something occurs where an investigation has to be done, and we will contact you as the employer and request that you provide details. And if you have all of that information on hand, then it will be very helpful and beneficial to you, because it makes the process easier, and it might prevent you from having to go through a longer process where we have to investigate and go to the courts, etc. So if you have all your records on hand and you can prove that all my staff members their pensions are paid up, then that's very helpful. Keep all your records. You can keep physical records if you wish, digital as well, whichever is easier for you, right? Because some persons aren't too tech savvy, so you can keep a book or something. You can write your employees the date that they get period they're being paid for, their hours, their hourly rate, what you deducted for pension, all of the deductions, and what their gross salary is. And if you want to keep that physically, that's fine. We accept that as well as if you want to keep it digital. But just keep the records.
Gotcha.
Keep them for 5 years.
Right.
Yes.
We've been emphasizing the 5 years.
Yes.
Absolutely.
A question. So, I'm asking about when we should be notifying about the new hires, the pension plan about the new hires or termination.
Right.
Now, if somebody is here on island for the first 9 months on island, should that employer, even if it's the employee's first 9 months, are they required to call their pension plan administrator and say, hey, we do have a new employee, or we got rid of this employee even though they're not part of our pension, but you might need to know?
Right. So it's very important for the employers to keep in contact with their pension plans, right? And as I said, as soon as possible, make them aware. If the employee is not yet eligible, you do not have to contact the pension plan to inform them that you have a new hire. Unless you want to do it like 2 weeks in advance. I have this employee, he's going to become eligible in 2 weeks. I've done his enrollment plan. I want you to go ahead and enroll him. That's fine. But if it's like 3 months out, you don't know if he's going to cancel his work permit or change jobs. So you don't necessarily have to inform the pension plans then.
They won't be changing jobs after May 1st so easily. And hopefully
that's tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yes. Right.
And also for when an employee is dismissed, you want to inform the pension plan as well. Right? Because if not, they're going to have them on file as they're still employed, and they're going to keep accruing, they're going to keep having you on file that you're in arrears, and they might add you to their delinquent list. So it's best for you to just send them an email, this person is no longer employed with us, so that they can remove them from the account so that they don't have you as you're not paying pensions for that person.
Gotcha.
Right? So also you can inform them of periods of no work. If this person was on vacation for a month, you would write to your pension plan, this employee was on vacation for this month, therefore there are no contributions. Right? Or not necessarily vacation, pensions would still accrue, but for certain industries like construction, they might be closed for December or January, there's a break. Or for some hotels, there might be slow periods where you have seasonal employees. So you'd want to inform your pension plan that there are no pensions to contribute for this period because the employees were off island or there was a period of no work.
Let's touch on the seasonal employees and contracted employees. We got to take our final break right now, but let's touch on that when we come back from the break.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise
at Cayman Insurance Center. Call today.
The 7:20 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Credit Union, on the road to 50 years of serving our members. Visit creditunion.ky to join today.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about pensions. We're in the last final minutes of our talk this morning, and we have the Deputy Director of Labor and Pensions here in studio with me, Miss Amy Williston, and we have Senior Inspector for pensions. Julianne Walters. It's because I have the title at the top of my page and I scrolled down, but I was like, I should know this by now. You've said it enough, Kathy. All right. So I wanted to, if you could just break down a little bit more, Julie, about the contracted workers and seasonal workers, how it might work for them when it comes to pensions.
Okay. It pretty much works the same as a full-time employee. Once they're on staff and registered, employed with the company, then the pension works the same. You would contribute your 10%, 5% from the employee, 5% from the employer. You pay that into a pension plan. The only difference is that the employer would be required to communicate with their pension plan as to when that employee is actually working and when there are periods of no work. So if you have employees that work 6 months on, 6 months off, then you just send your pension plan an email, provide the name of the employee, and let them know that this person is not going to be working for X period, and therefore there'll be no contributions over that time. The same for contracted employees. It's the same process. Just keep in touch with them. Let them know what's happening. If a person went off island for medical reasons, you would let the pension plan know, because what happens is that if they're not aware, the pension plan is going to say, oh, you haven't paid for this person for this month, and they'll have you as delinquent. Not knowing that that person is not on island or there's no work for that period. So the employee just needs to keep in touch with the pension plan, inform them as much as possible and as soon as possible of any changes in work or in staff.
And that would, I'm assuming that's going to come down to what their work permit is, I guess the category of the work permit.
Right.
Because from my understanding, if you are hired as a full-time employer on a 1-year work permit, if your company breaks for a month, like you'll see a lot of restaurants break in the month of September, for example.
Right.
From my understanding, I'm still under a full year permit. You, as the company, decided to take this month-long break, I should still be given all my benefits.
Right.
Am I wrong in thinking
Well,
that?
if you're eligible for example, vacation pay or some sort of leave, then you would still be getting compensation for those. So those would still be pensionable.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Also important is that if there's a break in employment that's longer than 6 months, then the eligibility period, the period for which the employee is not eligible, it will restart. So once they're off island. So if you leave island for 6 months, once you return, then you have that 9-month period that you're not required to contribute pension again. So every 6 months break off island, you have to be off island, then that period would restart.
Okay, got it. Well, thank you for that explanation. When it comes to the penalties and consequences employers face for non-compliance, can we get into that?
Well, actually, we are currently discussing, at the moment, all of our cases have to go to summary court. At the moment, we do not have any administrative fines under the legislation. There are some departments that have administrative fines. DLP does not. So we are actually in discussions with our ministry about if that's something we could introduce, because it would be more efficient and effective for us to deal with non-compliance. And we're looking at that. So as I said, we have to go to court, but we're looking to introduce administrative fines in lieu of that.
That would be great.
It would.
Because sometimes, this is a personal thing, I feel like punishment needs to be a little harsher.
It does. It does.
All right.
One important thing under the legislation, when we go to court, there is actually For example, an employer who doesn't provide a pension plan, the first offense when you go to court, obviously, for people who don't know, the fines under the legislation will be for a dollar figure, but it's up to the dollar figure, right? So, and the magistrate is the one who makes the determination if we're going to court. It's not DLP that decides, okay? So I say that because in the first instance, the fine is up to $20,000. And we now have provisions under the legislation for persons to also be sent to prison for failure to provide a pension plan, failure to pay contributions. There are various sections under the legislation that we've introduced imprisonment provisions, which, as I said, the magistrate would decide. But the fines have been increased some years back. And $20,000 is for a first offense. I believe it's $50,000 for a second, and up to $100,000 for a third offense.
Wow, up to $20,000 for a first offense.
Up to.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I had an employer that was I'm not going to say who it is, who was previously fined for not paying pensions.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I knew that it wasn't getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us in the office knew, and it was a horrific thing to experience. And when the employee, I don't know which employee it was, finally spoke out and about it, I was no longer with this company. I had a very short stint with them because of a lot of the what I thought was a lot of unfairness happening. What I thought I was contributing to slave labor, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, this is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
So they barely got it. They were fined, I think, $2,500, and I was like, you don't know that this guy spends this in an afternoon at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
That is nothing to them. That was nothing. And I felt so bad because you have very grown men that were working so hard that weren't getting what they deserved. So I am happy to hear that the DLP is hoping to take some of this under your wing and hoping to maybe change what you're allowed to do over there.
Absolutely.
And change that summary court process. When a complaint happens,
yes,
does a DLP have a certain amount of time to deal with that kind of employer complaint or ensure that the employer has to be compliant? Is there a timeline you have to meet?
Well, under the legislation, we have to take it, if we're going to proceed with court a matter, we have to take it to court within 5 years. So we have a fairly significant window of time in order to bring a matter to resolution. That doesn't mean that we wait 5 years to do so. It just means that we have the opportunity to do so. So one of the things that we do, we recognize that sometimes the offense is maybe not intentional, while I also recognize sometimes it's deliberate as well. But we do strive to work with the employer to bring them into compliance. So one of our first things is we collect all the records in order to determine how much is owed. This is done in conjunction with the pension plan administrator. And after we've calculated how much is actually owed, we do have the option to have to agree a payment plan with the employer. And we quite often will do that. We'll do that first. We'll give the employer an opportunity first to say, okay, you owe this money. We can come to terms. If you can pay it off in X period of time, 6 months, a year, then we won't pursue any legal action against you, okay? But if we've extended that opportunity to you, and as an employer, you are still not compliant, then you're kind of putting us in a situation where we do have to pursue court action against you because you're not following the legislation, and we can't sit by and let that continue.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
Good.
But it's also going back to something I think about what Minister Miles has said quite often, because he's quite vocal.
I love that about him.
this is one of the areas where, if you recall some of the things he's talked about forcing government departments to work together and communicate. Yeah. So, for example, if we have an employer in court, or we have a bad actor as an employer, that is something other departments should know, because more than likely that same employer is probably a bad actor for them, right? So someone who's not paying their pension more than likely is probably not paying their health insurance as well. Those two tend to go together. Not all the time, but they do tend to go together. And if they're not doing that, they're probably also not doing other things. So we also need to make sure that we are bringing other departments in and working together with, for example, health insurance and work, and even DCI. Department of Commerce and Investment. So that's our acronyms.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And I said HIC as well, Health Insurance Commission. Yeah. So just going back to the fact that the minister is very vocal about this, and as a result, you'll see more of that happening now.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's very, very important because, as you said, if you're noticing the breaches are happening with complaints that are coming to you,
right.
I think work should also know, because let's look into this employer and their history.
Right.
If they're bringing a lot of work permit holders in,
right.
Is there a high turnover?
Right.
And why is there a high turnover? Because
exactly.
Why aren't they really hiring Caymanians? Because if a Caymanian knows you're going to be treated a certain way, blah, blah, you're not going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there has to be a lot more, I guess, vigilance, compliance done in that in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the sharing of information because it will help all of us do our jobs better. So.
Right. It creates a lot of collaboration across departments. Yeah. And then we can deal with bad actors, as I've called them, in a collaborative way. And, for example, you'll have to, Minister Miles has spoken about, going from in January, you'll have to be able to demonstrate your compliance in order to get a trade and business license.
Okay.
For example, he's spoken about that already. We're working with DCI now to work on some employers who may still be considered by the pension plan administrator to be delinquent, but in fact the business is closed. So we do have that where an administrator reports someone as delinquent because the employer never told the administrator, hi, I closed my business, by the way. So, we have to spend our time doing that. So we're trying to work on our collaboration with other departments as well in order to make the process more efficient for everybody.
All right, we got to end the show, but
okay.
I haven't given you a minute to say anything that you might want people to know that we haven't touched on, I haven't asked. It's only a minute, which is not a long time. But if there's any other information that we didn't hit on that you really want our listeners to know, now's the time.
Well, I want to thank you for having us on the show to discuss employer responsibilities. We will be, or I should say we are, increasing our public education, particularly in the area of pensions. Labor has been quite active in this area, and the minister has asked if pensions can also do more. So I've undertaken that we will do more.
Wonderful.
So this is part of our effort to do more. We're also going to be introducing half-day training sessions in June. So that information will be posted on our website with the dates and the venues so that people can register for that. It will be, more like today. You'll get questions and answer sessions, but it's an opportunity for people to raise whatever their concerns are. And I will also, I'm looking for my paper. 1 second.
It's all good.
Remind people of our email address, dlp@gov.ky, and our confidential hotline, 945. I got it right this time, 3073. And our website, of course, dlp@gov.ky.
And the social media pages, I'm pretty sure as well.
We have them as well, although I'm very honest, I don't know I don't have them written down, but we do have them.
Yeah, so, I know they're there because the last time the ladies were mentioning them as well. I won't remember what they are either, but it's information is there.
Exactly.
So I know you guys are
Feel
trying to get it out.
Feel free to look us up on Facebook, etc. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, and to all our listeners for sending in your questions. Just for sharing the information. I'm very welcome to have you on the Buzz whenever you're
so
ready.
Much.
So
we'll
as the information comes, we're ready to share it.
We'll be back. For sure.
All right. Everybody else out there, I didn't realize that May 1st was on Monday. Or wait, no, it's tomorrow. Sorry. But the 4th of May is Emancipation Day.
Correct.
So that is our holiday, Monday. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. I think our last guests were telling me, are you ready for the long weekend? I'm like, what are you talking about? Isn't that in 2 weeks? I don't know what happened. A year ago today was Election Day, everybody. Can you remember that? It was wild.
True.
So I didn't sleep for about 36 hours. That's just me.
That's true.
I can imagine the MPs and all that.
I had forgotten. You're actually right. It is a year ago. Wow.
Yep. So remember doing an all-nighter here in the studio to come back 3 hours later to do quite a few mornings, or quite a few hours, almost 5 hours straight in the morning.
Yes.
Post-elections covering what was happening. So that was a amazing time. So I'm just bringing that back into memory because it's almost been a full year that we have the NCFC government in. So
wow,
we've seen some great changes. And more changes to come.
Absolutely.
And we're going to hear about that later. But again, thank you to my guests and my earlier guests as well. Everybody have a great Thursday. It's Friday Eve, or, happy long weekend, as it's right around the corner.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.